Hey guys, what's up? So in this one, we're going to be covering the Worm Guy boss for P5X Global version 2.3. This is week 2 of the guild bosses. Worm Guy's back, so Summer Closer back in rotation again. No real special effects to speak of, just like you get buff for healing, which you're doing with Closer all the time anyway, but nothing crazy, just kind of stuff that makes Closer better. And this is the team we're going to be running here, so Leon 1, Wonder 2, Marion 3, Closer 4 with Phoebe as our navigator. Like I mentioned in the last video, this comp probably changes drastically depending on what you ran on the other side, because if you're running Ryuji on the other side instead of Mesa, you would want to use CHORD here and then put Leon over there. And obviously, if you don't have Phoebe and you don't have Mesa, then maybe you would want to use Wind here, because this would kind of be your A side. So instead of using Okeon here, you'd want to use Wind. Again, I'll try and put the slot in overlay on screen. Like I mentioned in the last one, this is kind of tough just because so much changes depending on what you have and don't have on this one. And both kind of, and even if you have Mesa, like both units kind of like using some of the same personas and teammates, strangely enough. But yeah, hopefully the thing on screen makes sense. I'll try and do my best to make it make sense if what I said was kind of nonsensical. But yeah, obviously any questions, you just leave them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. Moving on to Wonder, he will be using Ex Machina, and I'm bringing Mel, but you don't have to bring Mel. Like, you don't have to use him at all. You can really just use Dionysus, honestly. Don't want to bring Cert or Mel, but just bring any Blessed Persona to satisfy Machina. I'll be using Mel on the last turn, but you don't have to. Again, you can use Dionysus. I'll mention it in the fight and in the Persona section. So if you don't have Mel, don't worry about it. Again, you don't have to bring Mel. I'm using Shining Salvation just because I didn't really know what I wanted to do on that last turn. And I have him, so I might as well use him. But you don't have to use him. You can literally do the last 3 turns with just Dionysus, or Dionysus and Cert, whatever you want. Dionysus, I'll be using Rebellion and Revolution, but again, if you don't have Mel and you just want to use Dionysus straight up, you can do Rebellion, Revolution, Tarukaja for the last 3 turns, and, you know, that's as good as anything, really. And then I'm bringing Cert for this first turn. We're going to be using Maracunda with him, and if you want to use it again on the last turn instead of Tarukaja on Dionysus, then you can do that as well. Closer is going to run Resolve and Virtue. Marion is running Trust and Prosperity. Leon is running Trust and Power. I kind of feel bad for Leon because his cards basically have to get swapped out basically just every fight I do, because someone else kind of has Prosperity on, so it's kind of a waste to have double Prosperity. And then Phoebe's running Integrity and Labor. Hopefully I answered whatever questions you have before we got into it, but like I said, in the comments, if you have any questions, leave them down there and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, I think we are ready to hop into the fight, so I will see you when we get into it. All right, so we're going to get into it here. So we're going to go ahead and use Justice Barrier on Closer. There's kind of going to be some stalling here because, well, 2 things. If you have Phoebe and you're using Phoebe here, she will not get the 2 cocktails in time for the weakened phase if this is only 4 turns for you. We have to delay it out a 5th turn. But it also helps because if you don't have Marion and you have like Lufel or whatever you're using here instead, it gives you an extra turn to get the Tropical Heart stacks up, which I think could also be useful here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this stall tactic. You don't have to do it, obviously, but it did get me an extra like 2 or 3 million points, so I figured, you know what, might as well just try it, right? So we'll swap here. It doesn't really matter what you use on this first turn, so I'm going to go ahead and just use Tarukaja on Closer, because these buffs will fall off by the time we kind of get into it anyway. Marion, we're just going to hold Marion's skill 2, because 1, I don't want to do too much damage. Like, I don't want to kill him, and my Closer is weak enough where if she uses Blue Sunrise 3 times, it won't. But I'm going to go ahead and use Blue Sunrise. And then we want to save Marion's like 2-stack Compassionate Cure for skill 3 for the weakened phase, because that's what gives her the that's what gives allies the max HP boost. And Closer wants the max HP for, you know, her. She has like a passive that increases her attack with her max HP. Phoebe will just keep using Enchanting Stir, so we want to drum up these 2 premium cocktail stacks. And then we'll just go ahead and keep pumping Justice Barrier. And then Wonder can go ahead and use his highlight. And then we'll go ahead and swap to Cert. We can use Maracunda. Again, Marion can just go ahead and use skill 2 until we get to the weakened phase. Nothing in the pre-weakened phase really matters in these fights. I've mentioned it before, but Blue Sunrise, as long as it sets you up for the best, you know, kind of 3 turns you could put together, or 2 turns you could put together in the weakened phase, you know, it doesn't really matter what you do. Alright, hopefully this Enchanting Star gets us there, because this will be our last turn in the pre-weakened phase. So I'll just Justice Barrier again. We're going to save Leon's highlight. Will be our first thing we do in the weaken phase once we get there. And now we can kind of start our 3-turn like buff rotation where we start with Rebellion. Healing Grace again. Highlights are up, but we're going to wait the 1 turn. We'll go ahead and use Blue Sunrise again. And if you still don't have Tropical Heart by the time you get to Closer's turn on this first weaken phase action, if you want to go back and instead of bringing Mel, you could bring like Sarasvati, who's also a Blessed Persona, and just heal like that first turn. And that'll give you like an extra stack and might get you there. But now that we are in the weaken phase, we can go ahead. We have the 2 cocktails. We'll use these on Closer. And then we can use Leon's highlight on Closer as well. And then we can use Ultimate Booster. And then Wonder is up. We can go ahead and use Revolution. Now we can use Compassion Cure. And then Closer can use Surf and Shine. And again, if you don't have Mesa and you didn't use CHORD on that side, you can use CHORD here. Shockingly enough, like Leon was doing like almost the same for me as CHORD was. Well, for now, we'll go ahead and use Ultimate Booster on Closer again. Wonder, now, like I said, if you want to go ahead, just reapply Marakunda here. If you want to use Torakaja here, you can. I'm going to use Shining Salvation, but you can use any of those other, 2 buffs or whatever other buff you want to bring. I will go ahead and heal Closer again. Closer can then use her highlight. And then I'll go ahead and use Surf and Shine again. .48, so new record. So yeah, I think that was pretty good. I think the stalling was worth it. Typically, that's not the kind of thing that like I worry about too much, but it actually ended up being almost like 5 million for me because I think 43, 44 was kind of where I was at with this team. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Obviously, I think most of you will probably want to just all in on this side, especially if you don't have Mesa and you do have Closer. In that case, you probably will want to use CHORD. Again, I don't know how much more it would do. I might like flash it on screen because now I'm kind of curious. I'll run it again and see. But I don't think it would make too much of a difference, to be honest. But you might be doing that anyway just because you don't have Mesa. So, and I wouldn't run CHORD with Ryuji. I would run Leon with Ryuji. Hopefully you found some value in this. So hopefully this helped you out. If you have any questions, like I've said a million times, leave them down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer whatever I can for you. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys as always, and I will see you on the next one, and have a good one.